What's up, you guys? Kaylene here, and welcome back to Kaylene's Corner. Today, I am pregnant! I'm so excited! Obviously, I've been keeping you guys at least somewhat up to date with Hunter and I's journey on trying to have a baby and how it's been a journey, to say the least. And Luna's here with me today. But yeah, we are finally pregnant. I am currently 14 weeks pregnant right now. So I'm officially into the second trimester, which is so exciting and so doesn't even really sound real yet. But I just wanted to make a video today all about my first trimester and all about what that entailed and everything that I kind of went through, and just things that I want to remember for, I don't know, maybe future reference. But also, if you are thinking about having a baby soon, or if you're just curious about what to expect when you first become pregnant, I just thought maybe this video would be helpful. Of course, my pregnancy is going to look different than everybody else's, but there seem to be some things that a lot of women go through, and so maybe could just give you a little information on what to look out for if you become pregnant soon. So, first thing is, I found out that I was pregnant at around 5 weeks. I was on the phone with my mom, and she told me that I needed to go take a test. And so I decided to go take one, and there were 2 lines immediately on the test. And usually when I've taken them in the past, it says to wait the 5 minutes for anything to show up. But this, the moment the control line showed up, immediately after that, the pregnant line showed up. So it was very positive. But at that point, I had stopped taking pregnancy tests for a while, just because it became kind of difficult to constantly see a negative test. I had actually forgotten what a positive test looked like, so I had to pull out the instructions for the test. But I was telling my mom, I think I'm pregnant and I'm freaking out, and she was so excited, over the moon. At the time, though, Hunter was in California doing military stuff, so I wasn't able to tell him immediately, and I was trying to wait until he got back home, which was going to be about a week and a half. But I lasted about 2 days before I had to just FaceTime him and tell him. We were hesitant to be super excited just because of the miscarriage before. But once he got home and nothing had changed, I was still pregnant, we started to get really excited. We started telling our family and close friends just as soon as we saw them in person. I just could not wait to tell people, but we did want to do it mostly in person when we could, and so just anytime we would see our friends during the summer, we would just tell them, hey, guess what? And then same with family, we waited to tell Hunter's parents until we could see them in person. And then we announced on social media that we were pregnant on the day of 14 weeks. The symptoms that I noticed I was having before I found out I was pregnant, I had 3 main ones, but I noticed that I was feeling really dizzy a lot of the time. Like I had to get up really slowly, and walking around just made me feel really dizzy, and I don't know, I just felt really off and weird. I also had a lot of like random stomach pain and cramps, and I didn't really want to eat any food. And then I noticed that I wasn't really able to stand for long periods of time. Like if I was having to, I remember standing in a group with my siblings and we were all just talking, and I remember literally having to just like put my hands on my knees and like bend over and like just like relax a little bit, because just standing for a few minutes was just like too much for me to do, and I was exhausted. I started feeling really sick around 6 weeks, and that's when most of the like typical pregnancy symptoms kicked in. I had a lot of really bad nausea, and I also had a lot of nausea triggers. Basically anything that I encountered while feeling super nauseous became a nausea trigger. Really random things like my pregnancy app that I was using to like track like the size of the baby, and like I wanted to use it to track my symptoms, but basically anything that reminded me that I was pregnant became a nausea trigger. And so I really couldn't read anything about pregnancy. I couldn't use my app. Just anything that had the possibility of reminding me that I was pregnant, like people talking about the fact that I was pregnant, made me nauseous, which was not very fun because it's new, and so everybody wants to talk about you being pregnant, but I couldn't handle it. I had a lot of food aversions, but at the same time my appetite was increasing a lot, so that was really difficult. It was kind of a trial and error thing, figuring out what I could eat and what was helpful for me. Yeah, eating just became a really difficult thing in general. I had a lot of fatigue. I was just constantly exhausted, and anytime I did do something, like got up and walked around or sat up to like talk with Hunter, I had a lot of shortness of breath, and even now like I keep having to take breaks after talking a lot because I have no breath. Also had a lot of breast pain as they started growing. It just became really uncomfortable and very sensitive. Occasionally I would experience like really intense cramps, which really scared me at first, but what I began to learn was when I was experiencing that cramping, usually all I needed to do was poop, and then I was perfectly fine right after that. I began peeing all the time, which was exhausting. It slowed down a little bit since coming into the second trimester, but still, like, especially during the night, I'm getting up at least 3 times a night just to pee. And so that, which also leads into, I had a lot of disrupted sleep, especially in the first trimester. I just was really uncomfortable, and I was really struggling to fall asleep, and then when I finally did fall asleep, I struggled to stay asleep, and it didn't help that I was constantly having to get up to pee. And then towards the end, or I guess like the last few weeks of the first trimester, I started to have a lot of round ligament pain, so I had to just be careful when I was laughing or sneezing or coughing or getting up or sitting down. Anything like that, could trigger the pain. And so it's kind of, it's not as common now, I've noticed, but yeah, towards the end of the first trimester, I was experiencing it a lot. I had peak nausea at around 7-8 weeks, with a very slow decline throughout the rest of the first trimester. The mental and emotional symptoms I experienced were something that I don't think I was really prepared for. I knew that my hormones were gonna start like kind of going crazy, but I wish someone had told me about this before getting pregnant. And so if you are working on getting pregnant, or if you find yourself pregnant soon, I would find this to be useful information, just to be aware of. I struggled a lot at the beginning with a lot of like disbelief that I really was pregnant. I think that was mostly because it took us so long, and we wanted this so bad. And then when we finally got it, I just kept thinking like, okay, but I'm not actually pregnant. Like it's too good to be true almost. And so that was kind of something that I had to work through, and Hunter was very patient with me as I would ask him like literally every day, do you really think that I'm pregnant? And I knew that I was, but I don't know, it was all very surreal to me, and it was just hard to accept the fact that I really was pregnant. I dealt with a lot of fears right at the beginning. There's a lot of information out there about birth and pregnancy and caring for a newborn, and it all became really overwhelming for me. And so I started to just feel really scared about giving birth, which I'm kind of still working through, but feeling a bit better about. And then I had a lot of fear about this just is gonna change our lives forever, and that started to really freak me out. But Hunter has been literally like the best during this time. He's been so helpful and understanding about all of my emotions and stuff, and has really helped me work through them. I did experience just a lot of emotional highs and lows just in general. And one thing that came up towards the end of the first trimester was I started to feel really sad about losing my independence, because I basically was depending on Hunter for everything. And I'm a stay-at-home wife, so like the house stuff in my mind, you know, that's my job. And he was, I mean, he didn't even give it a second thought. Like it was no big deal for him to jump in and help me out, but I really kind of struggled a little bit, having to depend on him for literally everything, for like bringing me my food, filling up my water bottle, letting the dog out. Like that was a real struggle for me, to kind of just let go of a lot of my independence and being able to do things for myself. As helpful as he was, it was just a new thing to deal with. And then finally, I just wanted to talk about a couple things that were helpful for me to get through the first trimester. There honestly wasn't a lot, because in the first trimester, you're basically just trying to survive, which is difficult. And I mean, I personally chose not to get on any sort of like nausea medication or any medication for anything that I was struggling with, but my friends that are pregnant have said that that has been like really helpful for them. I just don't think my nausea was maybe to the extent that theirs was, so I didn't really feel like I super needed any medication. but there were a couple things that were helpful for me. The main thing for dealing with the nausea was just eating small snacks throughout the day. I noticed that if I went a certain period of time without eating, my nausea was 10 times worse, because I was basically experiencing it from the moment I woke up to the moment I went to bed. And so if I was constantly eating small snacks, that really helped me to be able to somewhat function a little bit. And if I missed like a snack time, I really like suffered for that. Another thing was ginger ale. Not because of the ginger, because basically any of the ginger things that I tried didn't work. I tried ginger candy, I tried ginger tea. Maybe I didn't try it enough, but personally I just found that it just didn't really work for me. I did, however, really like ginger ale, mostly just because it was sugary and it was carbonated, and that just, for some reason, just helped me feel good. It wasn't good for me, but at that time I really just needed to get through the day, and that helped me. Another thing was making sure that my snacks and meals were very plain. Anything that had a lot of flavors, even I noticed a burger was really difficult for me to eat. There were just so many different things that were a part of the burger that I couldn't handle it. And so anything that I ate had to be very plain. I really liked chicken and dumplings, or just like scrambled eggs or toast. Very basic things were easier for me to eat. I made sure I got lots of rest. I basically lived on the couch for a couple weeks, and then would just migrate back to bed at nighttime. But having someone who was here to help me was super, super helpful, so that I didn't have to get up a lot. So just making sure that I had a lot of rest was really helpful. And then finally, I really had to avoid reading anything about birth or about pregnancy or having a baby. Literally anything related to that really stressed me out, and once it became a nausea trigger, really made me nauseous. And so I just really had to avoid any like blog posts or books or anything about that. Now it's really helpful to be able to read stuff like that, but at first it's just so overwhelming, and your emotions are just so overwhelming, and it's just a lot. And so anything that could possibly stress me out, I just really tried to avoid. So yeah, that's basically everything that I wanted to talk about in this video. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. I hope that maybe it was helpful to someone. But if not, that's fine. I really just wanted to have this video for me to look back on. So yeah, that is my first trimester experience. I will try to make a second trimester and third trimester video as well. And yeah, I hope everyone's doing well. I love you guys so much, and bye.